stack there are two activities. So one activity is in a foreground state, this activity, and one more activity is in a background state. When you select back button here, the current foreground activity is going to enter into the state, and the background activity comes to foreground state. So here, actually we are discussing about what are the steps to create an activity. The first step to create an activity is we have to create a class with subtype of Android.app.activity class. So let us say you created one activity. Activity means on screen. You created on screen. For example, if one more activity comes to foreground, enter this activity into background state. When user is selected a power button, enter this activity into a pause state. So who will write the logic for all these things? I created an activity bus. In my activity, I have to write the logic or not. Which logic I have to write? When user is selected a power button, enter this activity and destroy this activity. There is no background activity in the stack. Okay. If user is selected a power button, enter your activity into which state? Pause state. If one more activity comes to foreground, enter this current visible activity into background state. So like who will write the logic for all these things? Manually, we have to write the logic for all these things. Correct or not? We have to write the logic for all these things to maintain the activity lifecycle. So let us say in my project there are 1000 screens out there, 1000 activities. For all the 1000 activities, we have to maintain this activity lifecycle or not? Just have to maintain that activity lifecycle. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult to maintain the activity lifecycle. And I'm not that much expert to maintain this activity lifecycle. So that's why Android is providing a class called, what is the class name? If you want to maintain this activity lifecycle, if you want to maintain this activity lifecycle, in your activity, if you want to maintain this activity lifecycle, boss, you need to maintain all these things. Already, it is providing one class. What is the class name? Android.app.activity class. So your class should be subtype of Android.app.activity. Subtype means what? We are using inheritance, right? Inheritance means what? You'll get all the properties from Android.app.activity class to your activity class. Okay, you'll get already they configured all these properties. So you need to maintain, once again you need to maintain the activity lifecycle. Automatically you'll get all the properties. So in Android, if you want to create any activity, the first step to create an activity is your class should be subtype of Android.app.activity class. Okay, so this is the first step. This is the activity lifecycle. Important one. Of course, right now you don't find any great advantage with this one. But once if you start working, once if you start developing Android applications, then you will find the requirement of using the activity lifecycle methods. Okay. So if you want to take, you can take the diagram. Completed? Okay. So here, this is the first step. Actually, we are discussing about the steps to create an activity. What is the first step? Create a class with subtype of Android.app.activity class. So then we raise the question, why we need to extend this Android.app.activity class? So why we need to extend this Android.app.activity class? To maintain the activity lifecycle. To maintain the activity lifecycle, our class should be subtype of Android.app.activity class. This is the first step. Next, second step is same like main method in C and C++. Same like main method in C and C++. Same like main method in C and C, and C, C++ and Java. Let us take C, C++ and Java in Android. In Android, on create method will invoke first. Which method will invoke first? On create method will invoke first. So
So we had to provide the implementation for, so we had to provide the implementation for, onCreate method. Same like main method in C and C++ Java. In Android, which method is going to be called first? OnCreate method will invoke first. So we had to provide the implementation for which method? OnCreate method. Okay. So this is the second step for creating an activity. కనబడుతుందా? కనబడట్లేదు. So completed. The first step is you had to create a class with subtype of activity class. Second step is you had to provide the implementation for onCreate method. Okay. So you'll open the Java file. Yesterday we created on Java file. When you open the Java file, by default you'll get some Java code you'll get by default here. By default, Android IDE will provide you some default code. Okay. Initially, I'm removing this one. Okay. I remove the entire code. Manually we'll create an activity. So what is the first step? We had to create one class. Let us take my class name is main activity. This class should be subtype of what? Activity class. So extends android.app.activity class. So we discuss the life cycle. In these life cycle methods, there are 7 methods are there. Out of these 7 methods, which method is going to be called first when the activity is created? OnCreate method. So here, in the subclass, we had to provide the implementation for the onCreate method. So here, IDE is providing a auto completion support here. IDE is providing what? Auto completion support. So I want to provide the implementation for onCreate method here. So just you need to write the complete method once again here. Just give control space. In the main activity, just give control space. It will show you the list of methods in the activity class. It will show you the list of methods in the activity class. So we had to provide the implementation for which method? OnCreate method. We had to provide the implementation for the OnCreate method. But here,
So what is meant is super.onCreate? What is the requirement of calling the super.onCreate? You call the super class methods, right? So here, already Android.app.activity class is having a method called onCreate, right? Once again, if you provide the implementation for the same onCreate method, the superclass existing onCreate logic is going to be removed out. Subclass, if we provide the implementation for the same method, we are overriding that one. That superclass onCreate method or functionality is going to be removed or not? Yes, it will be removed. If superclass onCreate functionality is removed, then you cannot maintain the activity lifecycle. Because already they given some logic in the superclass onCreate method. If you override that method, the logic is going to be removed. So you cannot maintain the activity lifecycle. So here, definitely we have to provide the implementation of the onCreate method in the subclass. And I don't want to override the superclass onCreate functionality. So that's why we are calling here super.onCreate. So we are overriding this method as well as we are not going to write your logic. We are calling what? Super.onCreate. So it will invoke the superclass onCreate logically. So we are maintaining the code. Superclass onCreate logic we are maintaining as well as our current logic. This onCreate method, one of the input parameters for this onCreate method is a bundle. Bundle is a class to tell you the state of an activity. I want to know right now what is the state of an activity. It's in a foreground state, or it's in a pause state, or it's in a background state. I want to know the state of an activity. How to get the state of an activity? Who will tell you the state? It's a bundle. This bundle class will tell you what is the state of an activity. Okay?
So are you clear up to this? Okay. Next, the third step. This is the second step. The third step is we created the user interface. We created the user interface in an XML file. We created the user interface in XML file. So we had to set the XML file. We had to set the XML file to the Java file. We had to set the XML file we created the user interface in XML file. We had to set the XML file to the Java file. How to set this XML file to Java file? So there is a method called set content view is a method. What is the method name? Set content view. Just one minute. Where the XML file is available? Where the XML file is available? The XML file is available in the resource folder, layout folder. This is XML file name, activity_main.xml. So I want to set this XML file to the Java file I want to set. How to set this XML file to Java file? Set content view only. But how to get this XML file into your Java code? We discussed when you are discussing about r.java. Static integer only. I given some examples also. I given how to get that resource file into your Java code. Set content view what is the folder name? Layout dot what is the XML file name? Activity_. So this is XML file. So r.layout. It may be any name. XML file name. Method is used to set the XML file to the Java file. So there is a method called set content view is a method. For this set content view method, we had to specify the XML file we had to specify. By using this method, we can set the XML file to the Java file. Okay. Method is used to set the XML file to the Java file. Okay. So here, in your program, in the onCreate method, how to set that XML file to Java file? Set content view. So here also I told you, right? IDE is providing an auto completion support. Once again, you need to type the complete method here. Just type one character, give control space to provide you the list of methods. Okay. So we had to provide the implementation for which method? Set content view is a method. In this set content view method, we had to specify the XML file name r.layout. Activity_main is a XML file name. Okay, so are you clear? So we created an activity we created. Okay, just we had to add one more statement, that is we created this class inside one package. What is that package? com.example.hello world. So in our class also, before going to this import statement, we had to add the package declaration. We had to add com.example. So we created on Hello World project. We created on Hello World project. For each and every screen, we had to create two files, one XML file and one Java file. So my project is completed. Now I want to test this project. Okay. So here there are two cases. The first case is if you don't have an Android device and if you have an Android device. For example, I don't have Android device first. Then how can I test this Android application? For example, if you have an Android device, then how can you test your Android application? So first we see the first case. Let us say I don't have an Android device. I want to test my Android application. Okay. So here, to test your Android application, SDK is providing one tool to test the Android application. We are developing the Android applications on Windows platform, but Android is a separate platform. So how can you test your Android applications on Windows platform? So for this one, before that, all of you close your laptops. You are not scientists here to do the research parallelly. Okay? Close your Sarah. Okay. So I don't have an Android device. I want to test my Android device. Okay. So here, Android SDK is providing a tool called Avd here. What is that tool? Avd. Android SDK is providing a tool called Avd. By using this Avd Manager, the tool name is Avd Manager. By using this Avd Manager, Avd is termed as Android Virtual Device. Avd is termed as what? Android Virtual Device. By using this Avd, you can create a virtual Android device. You can create by using this Avd Manager. So I'll see how to create this Avd. Okay. So if you want to create an Avd, so go to Android SDK location. If you want to configure an Avd, what is the first step? Go to the Android SDK location and start Avd Manager or start Avd Manager application. If you want to configure the Avd, what is the first step? Go to the Android SDK location. In Android SDK location, you will find a tool called Avd Manager. Okay, start the Avd Manager tool. So in my device, it is available in C drive. Android software. This is the location of Android SDK. In this Android SDK location, you will find a tool called what? Avd Manager, Android Virtual Device. Just start this Avd Manager. Okay. So Avd means nothing but one virtual device, one dummy Android device we are creating. For example, you want to purchase a new Android phone, boss. Generally, what are the things you will concern for purchasing a new Android phone? RAM. Okay, fine. Next. Android version, camera. Next. RAM, storage. Next. Generally, we'll see all these properties. Let us take what is the Android version, what is the screen size, what is the RAM capacity, what is the storage capacity, and what is the camera. So generally, we'll see these 5 things, right? So here, if you want to create an Avd, so select new here. So specify a name for the Avd. Let us take my Android virtual device name is. You can give any name here. There is no any restriction. The next one is version. Sorry, size you have to specify. Okay, boss, you want to create one virtual Android machine you want to create. So what is the screen size? In which screen size you want to create? There are different screen sizes. Are there like 800 by 1280, 720 by 1280, then 480 by 800? There are different screen resolutions are there. In which resolution you want to create, you have to specify here. You can take any resolution here. There is no any restriction. Okay. Let us take. I preferred 480 by 800. Let us take. Meaning 480 is the width and 800 is the height. Okay. So we specified the screen size. We specified. What is the next one? Target means nothing but the Android version. What is the version of Android? So here, the minimum version for our project we specified 2.2. So this Avd version should be higher than 2.2. Correct or not? Otherwise, you cannot install our application in this Avd. So there are different versions are there: 1.5, 1.6, 2.2, Android 2.3.3, 3.0. In this device, the versions are configured up to 4.2. So here also there is no any restriction. You can specify any version. But the problem is here, if you take 3.0 and higher versions, it will take a lot of time to start the Avd. Meaning if your system is having 8 GB RAMs or 12 GB RAMs, it will not take that much time. But your device is having a 2 GB RAMs or 3 GB RAMs, it will take a lot of space, it will take a lot of time to start the Avd. So that's why better to go for Android 2.3.3. If we take 3.0 and lower versions, if we take, so it will not take that much time. Okay, within couple of minutes, this AVD is going to be started. Okay. Next, this hardware key. Just remember this. We selected two options: hardware keyboard present and display screen. Meaning, when you select this one, you'll get a keyboard at right side. You'll get. Okay. Next, camera. The front camera, back camera support. If you specify webcam, this webcam will act as a camera for your emulator. Okay. So here also I am specifying none. It is given on default RAM size. What is the default RAM size? 512. Internal storage is 200 MB is given automatically. And if you want to give any external size, you can specify here. I given the external, SD card. The external storage size we specified what? 500 MB we specified. If you specify any sizes here, that space should be available in your C drive. That space should be available in your C drive. So here, for example, one student given 500 GB given. What will happen? It is going to occupy 500 GB of space in your drive, where you created this AVD. The device drive is having 500 GB of space? No. Okay. So here, whatever the size you are specifying here, that space should be available in your device C drive. So here we specified almost all 500 MB, 500 MB and 200. Almost all 1 GB, 200 like that. So this space should be available in your device C drive, free space. Then only it will create an AVD. So select OK here. So when you select OK, one AVD is created. We created one AVD, we created AP SSD. So we created AVD, we created. So now we created an application we created. So this is our project, Hello World project. I want to test this application. So if you want to test the application, select right click on the project, select run as Android application. So if you select run as Android application, it will start the AVD and it will install the application in the AVD. It will start the AVD and it will install the application in the AVD. But it will take some time. It will not take much time, hardly 3 to 4 minutes. Will protect me and ADB.exe file ఆ ఫైల్ అయిపోయారు మళ్ళీ నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్లో మళ్ళీ HTML ఫైల్ సెట్ చేసుకో. So I want to skip this one. How to skip? Into bucket list. So AVD is created. So AVD is created and our application is installed in the AVD. Welcome to APSS. So this is the application we created in our yesterday session. We created the XML file, and today's session we created the Java file we created. Okay. So this is the first case. For example, if you don't have an Android phone. For example, if you have an Android phone, then so directly you can connect your mobile phone with USB and you can test the application in your mobile phone directly. But we need some mobile drivers in the PC. To download that mobile drivers, I given two softwares. I given the list. One is you can install this Snappy software. You can install, or the other one is Mobile Go. So install any one of the PC suite. Install any one of the PC suite, either Snappy or Mobile Go, so that we can connect. You can connect your mobile phone to the PC and directly you can install the application in the mobile phone. I prefer the second case. Directly install the application in the mobile phone, because in AVD, lot of functionalities you cannot test in AVD. Like for example, I want to make a call. Can you test that up? Can you test that functionality in AVD? No. I want to send an SMS. I want to work with sensors. I want to work with Wi-Fi. So these type of functionalities, of course, lot of functionalities you cannot test in AVD. LKG applications you can test with AVD. LKG applications in the sense, hello world applications, some chinna applications mathram chesukochu AVD lo. So I preferred so test the applications in the mobile phone directly. I hope everyone is having a mobile phone, correct or not? Android devices. Okay. So directly you can connect the device and you can test the application. So just give me few minutes. I'll install this Mobile Go software. Directly we'll test the application in the mobile phone. Because daiche silent unnan babu. So I'm installing this Mobile Go software. I'm installing. you, sir. ఏం చేస్తాం బస్ కమాండింగ్ చేసే రోజులు పోయాయి. ఇంకా సెకండ్ స్టేజ్ ఏంటి? రిక్వెస్టింగ్. ఎందుకు ఆగిపోయిందంటారు ఇది? ప్లీజ్ వెయిట్. We'll do one thing, boss.
This one will postpone. Which one? 1 hour will postpone. Because it will take 1 hour easily. Okay. Our second application we'll see in the mobile phone. Okay. So this is our first application we completed, hello world application we completed. My second application requirement is, I'll tell you, second application requirement is, so I want to design the user interface. Let us take, I want to get some text from the user. Let us take enter some text. Enter text. So next I want to get some input from the user. I want to get some input from the user. So next we'll create one. We'll create a button, we'll create. Get text. So when user selects get text button, initially it's empty. When user selects get text button here, I want to get the text from this edit text component, or I want to get the text from this text component, and I want to set the text to the Textview component. This is application requirement. So what is application requirement? So user is going to give some text in this box, some text box. When user selects, it's a button. When user selects get text button, get the text from this component and set the text to the this component. So here, total we are going to use 3 UI components we are going to use. What are the 3 UI components?
వెళ్ళండి పర్మిషన్స్ నేను చెప్పానని చెప్పండి ఎవరికైనా నేను చెప్పానని చెప్పండి వెళ్ళండి చాక్లెట్ కావాలి సమోసాలు ఉన్నాయి కింద మిగతా ఏం కాదు మీరు వెళ్ళొచ్చు ఎవరు లేరు కింద
Textview component, edit text and button. So once again, I will recall the requirement. User is going to use some text here. When user says get text button, I want to get the text and I want to send the text to the Textview component. And when we have to get the text, when user is selected a get text button, button is having which type of event? Click event. Button is having what? Click event. Okay. So let's see how to configure the click event. Okay. So you understand a few things in this example. Okay. So we'll design the UI. So we'll create a project file. So file new. Select other. Select Android. Android application. Project. Next. So let us take my project name is first ex is a project name. My project name is first ex is a project name. So we specified the minimum version is 2.2, the current version is 4.4 and all. So by default it is creating one icon and one activity it is creating. So we created a project we created, first ex. By default you will get one XML file you will get as well as one Java file you will get. Okay. So initially we'll change this one, we'll change the user interface. And I told you right, you can design the user interface by using drag and drop, you can design the user interface. But initially for a few examples, we'll go with manually we'll create. Okay. So after that we'll go for drag and drop. Okay. So if you want to see the XML file, select this XML tab, activity underscore main.xml, you'll get the XML code you will get here. So right now, we have not discussed about relative layout. Up to now we discussed only one UI group. What is that UI group? Linear layout. So first, specify the UI group as linear layout. So in our last class we discussed all these things. So XML, NS, Android and all. So this XML, NS no need. You can remove this XML, NS. But for linear layout, we had to specify one more attribute. You had to specify. What is that attribute name? Android : orientation, that is vertical or horizontal. Okay. Next, we created a Textview component. We created. So here, this is the UI, right? I want to present this user interface. I want to present. So what is the first UI component? It's a Textview component. Okay. Let us take enter text. For Textview component, these are the properties. For every UI component and UI group, we had to specify width and height. I already explained what is in my match parent, what is in my wrap content and all. Okay. So it will present a text, enter text. So first component is completed. Next, what is the next one? We had to create one edit text. We had to create. So create an edit text. So only we will specify these two properties. We will specify for edit text. But height will specify wrap content, but width I am specifying match parent. Match parent in the sense, occupy the entire screen width. If you want to see graphical layouts, select graphical layout. It will show you how it will print on the screen. The first one, enter text, and the next one is we created an edit text component we created. So next, we will create a button we will create. And what is the text you want to display on the button? Specify the text. Android : text. Get text. Okay. The graphical layout. So we created a button. So user interface part is completed. XML part is completed. Okay. Next. So I'm closing the XML file. Open the Java file. Main activity.java. So here in this Java file, of course, by default, you will get some sample code you will get.
and I already explained what are the steps to create an activity. Your class should be some type of activity class. We had to provide the implementation for onCreate. We had to set the XML file by using set content view method. By default, you will get this code. Okay. So we'll test application. So first EX run as Android application. So directly it will install the application in the AVD. Here it will show you the status. It is installing the first EX app. Once this loading process is completed, then it will install here. This is our application. This application is installed. Now what is the requirement? User is going to use some text here. When user selects get text button, we had to display the text, right? So in the XML file, we had to create one more text view component we had to create. So in the XML file, we had to create one more text view component we had to create in the XML file. So open the XML code. So in the XML file, we had to create one more text view component we had to create. So after this button, we had to create one more text view. But what is the initial text for this one? Empty. Or we'll give a small line kind of thing we'll give. Again, some empty line given. Okay. So first EX run as Android application. So requirement is user is going to give some text here. When user selects get text button, I want to get the text from this edit text component and I want to set the text to the text view component. This is the requirement. This is the requirement. So what is the requirement? When user selects get text button, get the text from this component and set the text to the text view component. So here, first you have to understand how to configure the click event to this get text button. How to configure the click event for this one? How to configure the click event? So here, button is having a click event. So we can get the event. We can get the click event in two ways. We can get the click event in how many ways? In two ways we can get the click event, that is by using XML we can get the click event and by using Java we can get the click event. Button is having a click event, we can get the click event by using XML we can get and by using Java we can get the click event. So first one we'll see how to configure the click event using XML. See how to configure the click event using what? XML. To configure the click event using XML, to configure the click event using XML, we had to configure the following attribute. Configure the click event using XML, we had to configure the following attribute to the button. That attribute name is Android:onClick. Android:onClick is equals to, we'll specify some method name, we'll specify. Android:onClick is equals to what? We'll specify some method name. Android:onClick is equals to, we'll specify some method name, we'll specify. Okay. So if we click the button, if we call the button, it will invoke the specified method will invoke the specified method in the Java file. It will invoke the specified method in the Java file. For example, in XML file, I configured one attribute I configured. In XML, I configured for the button. For the button tag, I configured an attribute called Android colon on click. Let's see. Is equals to, I given a method named getText. What is the name I given? GetText is a name I given. So Android colon on click is equals to getText. So this is an XML. In Java code, we had to create a method. So when you click the button, it will invoke the specified method in the Java file. So we had to create the same method in the Java file. In Java file, we had to create a method public void. What is the method name we specified? GetText. For this getText method, the input parameter is view. So in the Java file, we had to create one method. We had to create in the specified name. What is the name we specified? GetText. So we had to create one method in the Java file with the name getText. But here, what is the input parameter for this getText method? View is the input parameter. But right now, we are calling this method from which UI component? Button component. So what is the input parameter? It should be button, right? Let us take in future. I have a requirement of I want to call this method from Textview. I want to call this method from edit text. I want to call this method from image. So like the different UI components are there, right? Correct or not? Images, buttons, edit text, text views. We don't know feature requirement. Let us take I have a requirement. I want to call this method from image. At that time, what is the input parameter? Image. If you want to call from button, button is the input parameter. I have a requirement. I want to call this method from image as well as button. Then, at that time, how many parameters do you have to pass? Okay. So that's why, if you specify view, view is a superclass for all the UI components. View is a superclass for all the UI components and UI groups. Okay. Subclass instance is taken into super type reference or not? Come on, boys. Very practically you see. Subclass instance is taken into the super type reference. So here, these buttons, edit text, text view, all these are the subclasses of what? View class. So directly we are passing the parent object we are passing. Okay. So right now, you can call this method from any UI component. It may be a button, it may be a text view, it may be any image or anything. We'll specify this property, we'll specify. So in Java file, we had to create this method, we had to create. So we already completed the user interface, we already completed. So we'll configure the click event for the button. So for this, so in our project, we created a button For this button component, we'll configure the click event by using XML Android colon on click. Specify a method name. Let us take method name is getText. So when you click the button in the Java file, open the Java file main activity.java. So here we had to create one method that is public void getText. So problem with imports, just we had to import this. ID will tell you the error, even if it is showing some error in this line, right? When you click on this, it will show you what is the error. We had to import this view class. We had to import. Okay. So when you click the button in the XML file, it is going to invoke this method in the Java file. Now, what is the logic we had to write in this getText method, or what you want to perform? What is the requirement? When user selects a button, we had to get the text from this component, and we had to set the text to this Textview component. But how to get the text from this? Component? in HTML are you are all JavaScript experts, right? Come on, boss. You're all JavaScript experts or not? No. From last 10 days, someone said you are from last 10 days you are learning JavaScript. Come on, boss. So you created an edit text component or text box component in HTML. I want to get the data from that HTML text box. How to get the data? In JavaScript, we will write the logic. What is the logic we'll write? Document.getElement by ID. We'll specify an ID or not. So before going to get the text from that component, first you have to get that text box component into your Java code. Correct or not? Here also we created the user interface components in the XML file. So before going to get the text from the edit text component, we had to get that UI components into the Java code. But how to get that UI component into Java code? We had to specify an ID or not. So like there are 10 edit text boxes are there, boss. I want to get the text from only one particular edit text. So we'll specify an ID will specify, okay? So here, right here, to get the UI components into Java code, to get the UI components into Java, we had to specify, to get the UI components into Java, we had to specify an ID for, UI component. To get the UI component into Java code, we had to specify an ID for UI component. Okay. So here the syntax to specify ID is Android:ID is equals to @ ID/ you can give any ID name. This is a syntax @ ID/, this is a syntax. Up to this one, this is a syntax. After this one, you can give any ID you can specify, any name you can specify. Okay. Next. By using findViewById method, there is a method called findViewBy. What is the method name? findViewById is the method. By using findViewById, specify the ID r.id. Method is used to get findViewById r.id.id name method is used to get the UI component into Java code. By using findViewById r.id. Whatever the ID is specified, method is used to get the UI component into the Java code. Okay. Completed. So here, when user selects get text button, I want to get the data from the edit text component. To get the data, first we had to assign some ID for that edit text or not. Yes. So we had to specify some ID. We had to specify. So here, for this edit text component, specify an ID. Android:ID is equals to @ ID/. Can give any name you can specify. Let us take I given the ID is ET1. ET1 is the ID specified. Okay. So now in the Java code, in the main activity.java, if you want to get that component into Java code, there is a method called findViewById is a method. Specify the ID r.id. What is the ID we specified? ET1. You will get that UI component into Java code. Which UI component you will get into Java code? Which UI component you'll get into Java code? Edit text. Edit text ET1 is equals to find view by ID. So it's asking just you have to import this edit text class. You have to import. That is the first thing. Next.
See, it is showing an error. That is, this find view by ID method is not only for edit text. This find view by ID is not only for edit text. By using this find view by ID method, you can get any UI component into your Java code. By using this find view by ID method, you can get any UI component into the Java code. But you are storing that UI component into edit text. The compiler is giving left and right to you. Boss, what is the guarantee you will get edit text type of component only? Come on, boss. It may be any type of data, right? It may be any type of data you can get. Any type of UI component you will get. But why you are storing that one into edit text? Do you know that one? Come on, boss. We know that, right? I know. We created that one. It is going to return which UI component?
Edit text on. Okay. So we already discussed generics concept. We discussed, right? In generics concept we discussed why generics mainly. Generics concept is used. Why you use generics concept? Which is used to provide. Which is used to provide the type safety. Which is used to provide the type safety and which is used to resolve the typecasting problems. Which is used to provide the type safety and which is used to resolve the typecasting. So here this method is going to return the view object it is going to return, but we are storing that one into edit text. So here we had to add a typecasting. I know, boss, it is going to return which type of component? Edit text. So we are typecasting. We are typecasting that view component into what? Edit text. So we got one component into Java code we got. So this component we got into our Java code. Next we have to get one more component into our Java code. What is that one? We have to get the data from this component and we have to set the data to this text view component. So we had to get this text view component also into our Java code we had to get. So here for text view also will specify some ID will specify. Android : ID is equals to @ plus ID slash, let us take TV1. We'll get the text view component also into the Java code. Text view, find UID r.id.tv1. You got edit text component into Java code as well as text view component into the Java code. So just we have to write here to whom you want to set the text, for edit text or set text view. Text view tv1 dot, there is a method called set text is a method. What is the method name? Set text is a method. From where you will get the text? From where you will get the text? Edit text. So here et1 dot get text dot toString. So we are getting the text from the edit text component and we are setting the text to the text view component. Okay. So test application. So first EX run as Android application. రాసింగా రాలేదా? So in XML file we already configured, right? Our on click is equals to we specified the method name or not? Get text. So when you click this button in the Java file, it is going to call this method. Which method is going to be called? Get text method is going to call. In the get text method, what is the logic written? First we got the two UI components into Java code, and after that we are getting the text to the text view component. We are getting the text from the edit text component. కేబుల్ లేకపోయింటే బాగుంది అనిపిస్తుంది. బికాస్ ఐ రిక్వెస్టెడ్ ఐ నీడ్ ఏ వైర్లెస్ మైక్. ఇదేంటంటే ప్రతిసారి పీకే మూవీలో ఇట్లే తగిలించుకొని తిరుగుతూ ఉండాలి బాస్. అది ఉండడం వల్ల ఏంటంటే నేను క్లాస్ లో ఫ్రీగా మూవ్ అవ్వలేకపోతున్నాను. ఐ డోంట్ వాంట్ టు టీచ్ ఇన్ వన్ పొజిషన్. ఐ వాంట్ టు మూవ్ ఫ్రీలీ ద ఎంటైర్ క్లాస్. బట్ దీనివల్ల ఏంటంటే ఇక్కడే ఉండాలి, ఇది ఇక్కడే ఉండాలి, నేను ఇక్కడే ఉండాలి. మై స్కోప్ ఈజ్ అప్ టు దిస్ కేబుల్. ఎంత అంతవరకు మాత్రం చేయగలరు. కొన్ని లాంగ్ డిస్టెన్స్ వెళ్ళామనుకోండి, సార్ పక్కన వాళ్ళకి వినపడట్లేదంట. సో ఇదేమో ఇక్కడే ఉండాలి, ఎందుకంటే ఇది దీనికి మైక్ ఇక్కడ ఉంటుంది కదా. మీ కోరికలే కాదు బాస్, నా కోరికలు ఎవరు తీర్చట్లేదు. మా రిక్వెస్ట్ కూడా ఎవరు కన్సిడర్ చేయట్లేదు అనమాట. మేము మోనార్కుల్ లాగా బిహేవ్ చేస్తున్నారు. ప్రకాష్ రాజ్కి ఇన్స్పిరేషన్ ఉన్నట్టున్నారు. So enter some text, and when you select get text button, get the text from this component and set the text to the Textview component. Okay. So this is one way of configuring the event using XML. This is one way of configuring the event using XML. So what is the next one? So by using Java, we'll see how to configure the click event. Okay. So button is having a click event. Button is having a click event. To get the click event, using Java, we had to configure the on-click listener. We had to configure what? On-click listener. A listener means which always listens for an event. Listener means what? Which always listens for an event. Because in lot of places you'll get a term called listener. Listener means which always listens for an event. Okay. So what is a listener we had to configure? On-click listener we had to configure. So it always listens for an event. Which type of event? Click event. Whenever the click event is happened, immediately it is going to call this listener. Okay. So we'll see how to configure this listener. First we have to get the button component into your Java code. In the XML, directly I'll write the Java code. Okay. In XML you had to specify an ID for the button. You had to get that button component into your Java code. Imagine that button is B. Imagine that button is what? B. So we had to configure a listener called b.set onClick listener. We had to configure a listener called what? b.set onClick listener. The input parameter for this onClick listener is the object of view.onClick listener. This onClick listener, it contains an abstract method called public void onClick. It contains an abstract method called public void onClick. Here also we use the input parameter. Not only button boss, you can configure this listener for any UI component, for images, for text views, for any UI components. Through Java, if you want to configure any event, if you want to configure, we had to configure this listener. Set onClick listener. So inside this onClick method, here write the logic. Whatever the logic you wants to perform here. Whatever the logic you wants to perform, just write that logic inside this onClick method. Completed? b.set onClick listener. The input parameter for this onClick listener is we had to give the object of which class? OnClick listener, which is available in view. Okay. So here, programmatically, if you want to configure, I am removing this XML configuration. I am removing that XML property removed. Okay. So now I want to configure the event for this one by using Java. So if you want to configure the event by using Java, we'll specify an ID for this. Android:ID is equals to @ plus ID slash, let us take B1. I given an ID called B1 ID1. So in your Java code, in the main activity.java code, if you want to configure the event using Java, so first we had to get the button component into Java code. But here, where I had to get that button component into Java code? Inside this getText method we had to get the button, or inside this onCreate method? Where you had to create? When this getText method is going to be called? But we removed that XML configuration, right? We removed that Android:onClick is equal to getText. We removed that one. Now in the Java file, this method will call it. It will not call. It will not call because we removed that XML property. We removed. So in the Java file, it will not execute this getText method. By default, when you run the app, first which method is going to be called? onCreate. So in the onCreate method, after the setContentView method, get the button component into Java code. Button B is equals to button find view by ID or.id.b1. You'll get the button component into Java code. So for this button component, Control plus Shift plus O is the import. It's not a magic. Okay, it's not a magic. The shortcut is what? Control plus Shift plus O is a shortcut for imports. Okay, so we had to configure a listener for this. p.set onClick listener. See, what is the input parameter for this one? For this onClick listener, the input parameter for this onClick listener method is we have to specify the object of onClick listener, which is available in the view class. Okay, so here the input parameter for this one is the object of view.onClick listener. So when you click the button, this onClick method is going to be called. So when you click the button, this onClick method is going to be called here. Now in this onClick method, so what are the logic written here? Just put the logic inside this onClick. What are the logic written? Just same logic, right? Same logic I want to perform, but previously we configured by using XML. Now we configured by using Java. That's it. Okay. So it does application. I'll give you a time, madam. Fast ga. Okay. So first EX. So given some text. When you select get text button, it will get the text from this UI component and will set the text to the Textview component. This is configuring the event using Java. For example, if you configure both, so here let us take if you configure both, Android:onClick is equals to get text. Already this getText method is available in Java. If this method is not available, you will get an exception. You will get an exception, method not found exception you will get. Which exception you will get? Method not found exception you will get. So here, we created by using two ways we configured. By using XML we configured the click event. By using Java also we configured the click event. Now when you click the button, which logic will execute? XML logic will execute or Java logic will execute? Go on, boss. You understand my question? We configured the click event for this button in two ways. By using XML we configured, as well as by using Java also we configured. But when you click the button, which part will execute? The XML part will execute or Java part will execute? How many says Java and how many says XML? Java? XML? So here, Harish leda. Harish దేనికి లిఫ్ట్ చేశారో చూద్దాం. మ్యాథ్స్ కామ్గా ఉంటాడేమో. రెండింటికి ఎత్తకపోతే చేతులు ఎత్తకపోతే So the main activity we configured by using two ways. By using XML we configured and by using Java we configured. We'll do one thing. If XML part is invoked, before going to set the text for this one, we'll specify XML will specify. Meaning before the text we are appending what? XML. In case of Java part is invoked, Java et1.getText.toString. So that if XML part is invoked before the text you will get XML. If Java part is invoked before the text you will get Java. So we'll test application. First EX run as Android application. So give some text. When you select get text button, so which part is invoked? Java. Why Java part is invoked? So here I'll tell you. We created the user interface in the XML file, right? Android is not providing any support for creating the user interface using XML. Who is providing this support?
Yeah.
XML support. IDE is providing XML support. Android is not providing any XML support. Who is providing the XML support? IDE is providing the XML support. Boss, you are the developer. Okay, you don't need to waste your time for creating the user interface by using Java programming language. So easily you can create the user interface by using XML. But when we use this method, setContentView, we are specifying XML file, right? By using XML parsers, that whole XML file is going to be converted to Java code. That whole XML file is going to be converted to what? Java code. For example, programmatically, if you want to create one TextView component, if you want to create programmatically, we had to write like this: TextView TV is equals to new TextView, and we had to set what is the text you want to display, TV dot, by using set text method, and where you want to display, what is the text size. So by using Java, we had to create all these things. So it's difficult or not? Of course, it's not difficult, but it's time-consuming process. Everything we had to create in Java. So that's why IDE is providing the user interface support. When you create this setContentView method, by using XML parsers, that whole XML file is going to be converted into Java code. So what we are doing in XML for the button component, we already configured the click event. In the XML file, we already configured the click event. But once again, we are overriding here. That XML is going to be converted into, that XML file is going to be converted into Java code by using this setContentView method. After conversion, once again, we are doing what? We are overriding the same button. What will happen? The last override only will repeat it, right? Initially, int x is equal to 10, you declare boss. Later, you specify x is equal to 20. When you call system.out.println of x, what do you get? 20 you get, because that is the last one, right? Last initialized one. Here also the same thing. In XML, we configured. When you use setContentView method, that XML file is going to be converted into Java code. But for the same button, we are overriding again. We are overriding the same one keys. So the XML property is going to be removed. This property is going to be removed. So that's why we got here. Android is not providing any support for the XML. IDE is providing the support for the XML. You don't need to create that Java part. We'll create that XML part, we'll create. But when you use setContentView method, when you specify the XML file, automatically this setContentView method will convert your XML code to Java code. Okay. So this is our first example. Okay. Next, the most important concept. that is intents. What is the next one? Intents. So intent is used to provide intents. Intent is used to provide a communication between intent is used to provide a communication between intent is used to provide a communication between activity to activity. Intent is used to provide a communication between activity to activity. Next, activity to service. Activity to broadcast receiver. Intent is used to provide a communication between activity to activity, activity to service, and activity to broadcast receiver. Intent is used to provide a communication between activity to activity, activity to service, and activity to broadcast receiver.
So you know what is in the activity, right? A single screen in the application. For example, I want to navigate from one screen to another screen. In case of HTML, you have an anchor tag, right? What is that anchor tag? You navigate from one HTML file to another HTML file. So here also, if you want to navigate from one Android screen to another Android screen, we use intent concept. But not only from activity to activity here, from activity to activity, from activity to service, and activity to broadcast receiver. If you want to provide a communication between these three things, then we use intent concept. But here in Android, with respect to activities, there are two types of intents are there. With respect to activities, there are two types of intents are available. One is implicit intents and explicit intents. With respect to activities, there are two types of intents are available. One is implicit intents and explicit intents. Implicit intents, which is used to call the built-in activities. Built-in activities in the sense, for example, camera works. You don't need to create a separate activity for camera. Already camera is another built-in activity. We have a built-in application like camera, right? So for camera, you don't need to create a separate activity. You can call the built-in activity you can call. Let us take, I want to make a call. If you want to make a call, you don't need to create a separate activity. It's already built-in is there. Just you can call the built-in activity. From your activity, if you want to call any one of the built-in activities, like dialer, caller, camera, browser, next. So we have some built-in SMS application. If you want to call some built-in application, built-in activities, if you want to call from your activity, then we use implicit intents. What is the second one? Explicit intents. Explicit intents and the user-defined activities. I created one page with two buttons, login and register. When user is selected register button, I want to show a registration page I want to show. Okay. So that login page is user created and registration page is also user created. So at that time, if you want to navigate from login page to registration page, we use explicit intents. Okay. So here, with respect to intents, with respect to activity, so in Android, with respect to activity in Android, there are two types of intents are available. With respect to Android, so with respect to activity in Android, there are two types of intents are available. So what are the two types of intents? Implicit intents and explicit intents. Implicit intents and explicit intents. So what is the first one?
first one is implicit intents and explicit intents. So implicit intents is used to call implicit intents is used to call the user implicit intents is used to call the built-in activities, not user defined. Implicit intents is used to call the built-in activities. The example for the implicit intents or built-in activities is like camera is one built-in activity. Camera, next your browser, your dialer activity, and the caller activity. Like we have n number of built-in activities are there. If you want to invoke that built-in activities, we use what? Implicit intents. The syntax to call implicit intents is the syntax to call the built-in activities is intent I is equals to a new intent I dot set action. We'll specify here intent dot action underscore name. Intent I is equals to new intent dot set action, intent dot action underscore name, and start activity of I. Okay, so this is implicit intent syntax. Okay, apart from this set action method, following are the major methods. Following are the major methods in the intent class. The methods are, one is set action, set data, set action, set data, put extra, and get extra. Intent dot set action, set data, put extra, and get extra. Following are the major methods in the intent class: set action, set data, put extra, and get extra. So slowly we will get a requirement of using all these methods. Okay, set action, set data, put extra, and get extra. Okay, right now in this example we'll see these two things. What is the need of set action and set data methods in the intent? Okay. చేసుకోవచ్చు, అది వేరేది మళ్ళీ, అది కూడా ఎక్స్ప్లిసిట్. Should we start? So we'll develop one simple app. అంత జాలిగా చూడొద్దండి బాస్. అంటే టైం అయిపోతుంది కదా, వదిలేయండి అని చెప్పేసి. I'll explain this implicit intents and will do. Okay. So explicit intents we'll discuss later. So here we'll develop an application for demonstrating implicit intents. The application requirement is, you know dialer activity, right? Caller is different, dialer is different. Calling in the sense directly to make a call, but dialer in the sense you'll get dial pad you'll get. Okay, it's another built-in activity. The dialer stream is also one of the built-in activity. So we'll develop an application. Let us take enter some number. Enter number. So we'll take one edit text component. We'll get the input from the user, and we'll create a button. Let us take dial button. We'll create a button called dial. When user is selected a dial button, I want to invoke the dialer activity I want to invoke. My requirement is,
so here user is going to give one number which is going to use, and when user is selected dial button, I want to invoke the built-in dialer activity with the user given number.
I want to invoke the built-in dialer activity with the user given number. In this screen goes. This is another built-in dialer activity. So when user selects dial button here, directly I want to invoke this built-in dialer activity I want to invoke. And here we need to type the number here. Automatically, the user is going to give some number in the edit box. So directly I want to display that number. Okay. So we'll see the application. So create a project, file, new, select other, add application project. Let's take my project name is Implicit Intent. Okay. Implicit Intent EX is a project name. So Implicit Intent EX is a project name. You understand the XML part, right? How to create a user interface using manually. So now directly you can go for drag and drop. Okay. So here first I want to create one text view component I want to create. If you want to create a text view, already there are some text view samples are there. You want to present with small text or medium text or large text. Already some text view samples are there. Let us take I want to present the text with medium size. So take this UI component. So let us take here. So what are the text you want? Whenever you drag and drop, you will get a UI component. If you double click on the component, you will get the XML code. Okay. So here, directly we'll change the text for this one. Let us take enter some number. So next, select graphical layout. You get the graphical view part you get. What is the next UI component? Edit text. If you want to create an edit text, select text fields here. In text fields, there are different edit text component. Edit text component is only one thing, but data type is different. For number type, I want to accept only a number type of data from the user. Character type of data you don't want to take. Next, email kind of thing. Email in the sense it should be contained at the rate, definitely. Next, password kind of thing, I want to hide the data. At the time you have to take input type is equal to password. Meaning the UI component is only one thing. I want to take a number type, right? So directly you can take phone. So directly you can drag and drop this. Double click on the component, you will get the XML code. For all the, password, for email, where you will get the change, this input type is going to be changed. In place of number type of data, we will specify phone. In case of email type of data, we will specify email. In case of password, like, okay. So we specified phone, we specified. So only it will accept a number type of data, it will accept. Next. Form widgets, will create a button. Double click on the component. Dial. Now I want to configure the click event for this dial. So Android :on click is equals to dial. So now in the Java file, open the Java file src main activity.java. So here we had to create a method. What is the name we specified? Public void dial. So when you click the dial button, this dial method is going to be called. So I want to invoke the built-in dialer activity I want to invoke. So what is the logic? I given the syntax also. Intent I is equals to set action underscore. If you give control space, కొంచెం కామన్ సెన్స్ ఉండాలి. ఒక పక్క క్లాస్ జరుగుతుంటే మీరు పక్కన క్లాస్ నుంచి అటెన్షన్ వెళ్ళిపోతారా? ఈ రోజు కాదు, జనరల్ వేరే రోజు చెప్తున్నా. లాస్ట్ వరకు ఉండాలా లేదా? ఐ షో యూ మై మెయిల్. ఎస్టర్డే నా ప్రాజెక్ట్ మీద పచ్చి బూతులు తిప్పింది తెలుసా. ఎందుకు వస్తున్నాం అంటే బికాస్ ఆఫ్ ప్యాషన్. I'll show you some mails after this class. I'll show you some mails. Because of passion we are coming and we are taking the classes here. Correct or not? ఇప్పుడు నేను ఆఫీస్ నుంచి బయటికి వస్తే 13 మంది పని చేయకుండా అయిపోతారు తెలుసా మీకు? In my team there are 30 member team is there. If I leave the office, మీ బాస్ లేడు అనుకోండి, మీరు ఎలా ఉంటారు? పని చేస్తారా? సో నేను ప్రతిరోజు 4 గంటలు మా టీం వదిలిపెట్టి వస్తున్నా తెలుసా. ఎందుకని? బికాస్ ఆఫ్ ప్యాషన్, బికాస్ ఆఫ్ సమ్ కమిట్మెంట్. ఓకే, సో లాస్ట్ టైం జనవరి ఐ మిస్ దిస్ అగ్రిమెంట్. ఫ్రాంక్గా చెప్పాలంటే, అంటే MIT యాప్ పైన ట్రైనింగ్ ఇవ్వాలని చెప్పేసి ది అప్రోచ్, బట్ నాకు ఆ MIT అనే కాన్సెప్ట్ నచ్చలేదు. సో దానిలో నేను తీసుకోలేదు. దిస్ ద సెకండ్ టైం. I don't want to leave this one, so that's why I'm coming and taking the classes. Okay, మరి అంత ఇంట్రెస్ట్ తీసుకొని చెప్తున్నప్పుడు ఒక పక్క క్లాస్ జరుగుతుంటే మీరు ఇంకో పక్కలోంచి వెళ్ళిపోయారు అనుకోండి, అప్పుడు వాళ్ళు అంటారు ఎందుకంటే వాళ్ళు తొందర వెళ్ళాలని. మీకు ఆ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఉందా లేదా? కరెక్ట్ అన్నాడు. సో ఇప్పుడు క్లాస్ వద్దు ఎందుకంటే టైం పడుతుంది. ఓకే, సో హియర్ I want to invoke. These are the list of built-in activities, services and broadcast receivers. So here intent.action underscore, these are all the built-in activities, services and the broadcast receivers. So which activity we have to invoke? Built-in dialer. Action underscore dial. Next, start activity of the intent object. Start activity of intent object. So implicit intent EX run as Android application. So give some number. When you select dial button, it is going to invoke the built-in dialer activity. Is going to invoke. It's going to invoke the built-in dialer activity. But then, what is the need of giving that number? I want to invoke the built-in dialer activity with some specified number, right? So directly, if you use this logic, only it is going to invoke the built-in dialer activity is going to invoke. But what is our requirement? I want to invoke the built-in dialer activity with user given some number. User is going to give some number, and when user selects dial button, invoke this dialer activity with a number. So for this one, by using set action method, only we can call that particular action. Like you can call camera, or you can call browser. You can call built-in activities you can call. For example, you can call camera. For example, image is captured. Where you want to store that image? You have to specify or not. Browser is open, boss. Which URL you have to open? So those properties will specify by using set data method. By using action, only you can call particular built-in activities you can call. If you want to add some data to that intent, what is the method name? Intent.set data is a method. For this set data method, see what is the input parameter for this set data method? Is it visible? What is the input parameter for this set data method? One second. The input parameter for this set data method is what? URI. Okay. So, but directly you cannot get the URI object. You cannot get directly. So first we had to create an object for. First we had to create an object for URI.builder. URI.builder. Builder is equals to new URI.builder. In this builder method, there is a method called path is a method. What is the method name? path is a method. In this path method, you have to specify to which number you want to make a call. To which number you want to open the dialer. Which number? User is going to give the number in the edit text or not. Okay. Sir, అందరినీ ఒకేసారి పంపించమని చెప్పండి, క్లాస్ అయిపోయేంత వరకు ఉండమని చెప్పండి. సో వాళ్ళు ఏంటంటే అప్పుడే పంపించేస్తున్నారు. So builder.path method, in the path method you have to specify which number you want to open. Okay. So here, to which number you want to open the edit text. So we will get that edit text component into our Java code. Okay. So we'll get the edit text component. We'll get. Find UID or.id.edit text 1. When you use drag and drop, what will happen is automatically you will get an ID. When you use drag and drop, automatically you will get ID also you will get automatically. Okay. Next one. Okay. So in the path method, in the builder.path method, we have to specify to which number you want to open. et1.getText.toString. Builder.path et1.getText.toString. Okay. And we had to specify one more parameter. We had to specify builder.scheme. What is the next one? Scheme. The scheme we had to specify TEL. This scheme is going to be different based on activity to activity. Meaning, in case of dialer or in case of caller, we had to specify the scheme as TEL. In case of camera, you had to specify what is the image format. In case of browser, you had to specify HTTP. Like this scheme is going to be different from activity to activity. If you search in the internet what are the schemes for the built-in activities, you will get the list you will get. Okay. So here in case of dialer activity and the caller activity, what is the scheme? TEL is a scheme. Okay. So in this set data method, actually we had to specify the URI object we had to specify, but you cannot get the URI object directly. So that's why we created an object for URI builder. In this builder, there is a method called build is a method. What is the method name? Build is a method. This build method will return you. The build method will return you the object of what? URI. So run as Android application. Give some number, and when you select dial button, it is going to call the built-in dialer activity with some specified number. Previously it will invoke only the dialer activity, so now it will invoke the dialer activity with some data. Okay. So if you want to add some data to the intent, we had to add the data by using set data method. So if you want to note, so quickly note it. We already given the syntax for set action, only add this data part. One second. Completed? I'll show you some what do you call testimonials, I think. Sakshalu was. Have you heard about Sakshalu? పొద్దున్నే 6 గంటలకి గడియాల టీవీ పెడుతూ వస్తుంటాయి. వినలేదు ఎప్పుడు? నేనైతే చాలా సాక్ష్యాలు విన్నా. సార్ నావి కూడా కొన్ని సాక్ష్యాలు ఉన్నాయి అన్నమాట, చూపిద్దామని చెప్పేసి. కంప్లీటెడ్? Section number 1. You had to congratulate me because I got a job in good company. As you said, UI designing is much important at fresher level because I had a system test based on the fragments and custom list view. So you got a job in good company. Okay, that's only see that part. So recently one more person is also given. His name is Kishore, I think. Thanks, sir. Thank you so much for change my life. I got a job in level 3 company. This is section number 2. Other sections also there. Okay. So we have very less time, right? Me life lo, నా లైఫ్ లో దిస్ ఇస్ ద బిగ్గెస్ట్ అచీవ్మెంట్ ఫర్ మీ. ఒక పర్సన్ వచ్చేసి, బాస్ నువ్వు నా లైఫ్ ని చేంజ్ చేసావు, నా ఫ్యామిలీ నీ మీద వర్క్ అవుతుంది, నా ఫ్యామిలీ నిన్ను దేవుడు అంతకంటే హ్యాపీనెస్ ఏముంటది బాస్? కరెక్ట్ ఆర్ నాట్? సో బికాస్ ఆఫ్ దట్ ప్యాషన్ వీఆర్ వర్కింగ్. నీ వల్ల ఇంకోటి జాబ్ వచ్చింది అనుకోండి, అంతకంటే హ్యాపీనెస్ ఇంకేం ఉండదు బాస్. యాజ్ వెల్ యాజ్ కొన్ని పచ్చి బూతులు కూడా ఉంటాయి. బూతులు అంటే ఎవరి నుంచే కాదు, స్టూడెంట్ నుంచి ఎప్పుడు రావు. డెఫినెట్లీ ఐ విల్ గెట్ వెరీ గుడ్ ఫీడ్బ్యాక్. ఐ విల్ గెట్ మై ప్రాజెక్ట్ మేనేజర్ ఎస్టర్డే అర్ధగంట సేపు వెయిట్ చేయాలి తెలుసా ఈ మెయిల్ చూసి. I was upset and surprised to see by clicking of household member doesn't have the functionality. ఏదో చిన్న ఫంక్షనాలిటీ మిస్ అయినందుకు she given left and right to me, and finally if you see last message, please keep inform me while leaving I was not even aware that you have left the office. Okay, please keep me informed while leaving morning. I said Shiva and Srikanth, but that doesn't mean that you as a leader can leave. ఇది మా ప్రాజెక్ట్ మేనేజర్ అన్నమాట. అట్లా షేక్ అవుతూ వస్తుంది ఆఫీస్కి, ఎందుకంటే షీఈస్ దట్ మచ్ ఓల్డ్. ప్రాజెక్ట్ మేనేజర్ అంటే ఏజ్ వాళ్ళే ఉంటారు బాస్. They don't know technical things. They don't know what is the developer problems, development issues and all. They will get salaries, 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs salaries they will get. Nothing they will do, boss. ఎవడు ఏం పని చేస్తున్నాడు కాదు, they will not recognize. కంపెనీలో షో చేసే పీపుల్ ఉంటారు చూసారు కొంతమంది. మహేష్ 3 గంటలకి వెళ్ళిపోయాడు, పొద్దున 10 గంటలకి వచ్చాడు. 5 hours కదా, 8 hours ఉండాలి కదా ఆఫీస్లో. తర్వాత 9 o'clock నుంచి 2 o'clock వస్తాడు. అది చెప్పండి మళ్ళీ. ఈజ్ వర్కింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ 3 to 5, రైట్? సారీ 11 to 3, రైట్? 5 hours only, right? What about the remaining 3 hours? ఇట్లాంటి వాళ్ళని బాగా దగ్గర తీసుకుంటారు. లాస్ట్ ఇంకోటి కూడా ఇచ్చిందండి, I'm aware of the extra work you have put, but ways are going wrong. Nothing. Night 11 o'clock she messaged me once again. So how are you feeling today? Morning you said you are not feeling right. You are not feeling good, right? How are you feeling today? Oh, fine, madam. I said. Madam, I seen your mail. I'm really sorry, madam. Actually, I really told you before going to leave the office at 3 o'clock. I intimated her, madam, I'm leaving. తనకి ఏమనిపించిందేమో తెలియదు కానీ అంటే మీకోసం ఇట్లాంటి బూతులన్నీ పడుతున్నా అని చెప్తున్నా అనమాట. నాకు అవసరమా బస్ ఇది? మీకు ఇంకో విషయం చెప్పాలా, నా కెరీర్లో ఇంతవరకు ఏ ఫ్యాకల్టీకైనా ఒక చిన్న బ్యాడ్ నేమ్ ఉంటుంది, రిమార్క్. ఎవరికైనా సరే ప్రతి ఒక్కరికి ఒక చిన్న రిమార్క్ ఉంటుంది, డెఫినెట్గా ఉంటుంది. నా కెరీర్ స్టార్ట్ చేసి ఇంతవరకు ఐ డోంట్ వాంట్ టు గెట్ నాట్ ఈవెన్ ఎ స్మాల్ రిమార్క్ ఆల్సో. అంటే ఒక్కడు కూడా వచ్చి ఇంతవరకు బాస్ నువ్వు ఇలా చెప్తున్నావు అని ఇంతవరకు వేలెత్తి చూపించలేదన్నమాట. ఓకే, ఈవెన్ ద ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ ఆల్సో సేమ్ థింగ్. నాకేదైనా ఒక రిక్వైర్మెంట్ వచ్చినప్పుడు ఇది నేను చెయ్యలేను, నాకంటే సీనియర్ కావాలి, నాకంటే 10 years ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఉన్నోడు కావాలి అని ఎప్పుడు నేను చెప్పాను బాస్. దట్ మచ్ నేమ్ అండ్ ఫేమ్ ఐ హ్యావ్. ఇప్పుడు ఏమనుకుంటున్నానంటే ఆ నేమ్ ని ఫేమ్ ని పోగొట్టుకున్నానే అనిపిస్తుంది బాస్. ఎవరి కోసం పోగొట్టుకుంటున్నా? ఇప్పుడు ఈ 4 hours రావడం కోసమే నాకు ఈ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ అని తెలుసా. నైట్ ఎక్స్ట్రా అవర్స్ 4 hours పని చేయాలి, మేనేజ్ దగ్గర నుంచి ఏదో మాటలు అనిపించుకోవాలి బికాస్ ఆఫ్ ఈ 4 hours. మీరేదో 1/2 hour బస్సులు తొందర పోతాయని ఇక్కడ వదిలేసిపోతే నేను ఎందుకు రావాలి బస్ చెప్పండి మీరు ఒకసారి. కరెక్ట్ అన్న. ఇంకొంతమంది ఎదవాళ్ళు కూడా ఉంటారు, నేను చూపిస్తా. మార్నింగ్ కూడా మెయిల్ పెట్టాడు బాస్, చాట్ చేశాడు. టాస్క్ అంటే చెప్తాను, వెరీ సింపుల్ టాస్క్ బాస్. ఫ్రీగా ఉంటే ఒక చిన్న టాస్క్ చేసి ఇస్తావా? ఫ్రీగా ఉంటే ఒక చిన్న టాస్క్ చేసి ఇస్తావేమో అని ఏదో చెప్పు చూస్తానని చెప్పు. సో ఒక రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ పేజ్, ఒక లాగిన్ పేజ్, అంతే బాస్. ఒక రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ పేజ్, లాగిన్ పేజ్, ఈజీనేగా, బేసిక్ థింగ్. అది నా దాంట్లో ఆండ్రాయిడ్ వర్క్ అవ్వట్లేదంట. డూ యు నో వాట్ ఈస్ ద రీజన్? ఇట్లాంటి వాళ్ళకి జాబ్లు ఇవ్వచ్చా బాస్? మీరు చెప్పండి బాస్. తనకి చేయడం వచ్చంట, కానీ ఏమైందంట, ఆండ్రాయిడ్ సాఫ్ట్వేర్ లేదంట. ఎంతసేపట్లో డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు బాస్? హార్డ్లీ ఒక 1/2 hour ఇంటర్నెట్ సెంటర్కి వెళ్తే, లేదా నువ్వు నెట్ పైన కూర్చుంటే నువ్వు ఒక సాఫ్ట్వేర్ డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. సో దానికోసం రేపు నీ దగ్గరికి వచ్చి సాఫ్ట్వేర్ తీసుకుంటాను, కానీ ఈరోజు మాత్రం టాస్క్ చేసేవారు. నేను ఫ్రీగా కూర్చున్నాను బాస్. చేసేవారంటే చేసేవచ్చు బాస్, కానీ కమిట్మెంట్ ఉన్నకి జాబ్ చేసి నువ్వేం లాభం బాస్? నేను ఫుల్లీ ప్యాక్ జీవన్, ఐ కెనాట్. వద్దులేండి, తర్వాత పర్సనల్స్ ఉంటాయి కొన్ని. ఓకే, అనుకుంటే చేసి వచ్చు బాస్, కానీ మీ దగ్గర సిన్సియారిటీ లేనప్పుడు ఐ విల్ ఆల్సో విల్ నాట్ గెట్ ఇంట్రెస్ట్. నేను చేతులారా ఇంకోటి కంపెనీని నాశనం చేసినట్టు ఉంటుంది నీకు జాబ్ ఇచ్చి. కరెక్ట్ అన్నాడు. ఓకే, ఈ టెస్టిమోనియల్స్, సాక్ష్యాలన్నీ ఎందుకు అంటే కొంచెం కష్టపడితే జాబ్ వస్తుందని చెప్పడానికి అంతే. ఇక్కడ కాకపోతే ఎక్కడైనా వస్తుంది. ఏముంటే నాలెడ్జ్ ఉంటాయి. ఓకే, మన దగ్గర ఏం లేకపోతే ఎక్కడ ఉన్నాయండి అది. ఓకే, I don't have any updates for tomorrow's session. They said morning at 8 o'clock we will make a call. But maximum I will not take. Some other faculty will take. Okay. So next. చాలా మంది బీజ్ ఎక్కేస్తున్నారంట కదా. So that's why everyone is asking Java classes, sir. So we'll decide tomorrow. Okay. in our next class we'll discuss explicit intents. Okay? మీరు కూడా ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసుకోవడానికి సాఫ్ట్వేర్ లేదని చెప్తారా? ఇంటర్నెట్ లో డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకొని ఇక్కడ రాకపోతే బయట సైడ్ డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకొని చేసుకోండి. ఓకే,
నోట్ ప్యాడ్ సార్ ఉంది కదా సార్, సేవ్ చేయండి
డౌన్లోడ్ అయింది సార్. సార్ లైనెక్స్
అది పాజ్ చేశాను
సార్, ఒకసారి చెప్పండి సార్. అలా ఇక్కడ కాకుండా నేను రూమ్లో
ఇదే సిస్టమ్
రూమ్లో అయినా నేను ఇదే సిస్టమ్ అన్ని రూమ్లో వచ్చేసారు. నా దగ్గర నేను పెన్ డ్రైవ్ అమ్మేదా